Warning, what you're about to see is not for the faint of heart. These are the most savage MMA knockouts ever caught on camera. Pure violence, raw power, and split-second destruction. Fighters didn't just lose consciousness, they got erased. Buckle up, this next 20 minutes is total chaos in the cage. 1. When the lights went out, Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren. In what remains the fastest knockout in UFC history, Jorge Masvidal needed just 5 seconds to flatline Ben Askren with a flying knee that had the entire MMA world frozen in disbelief. Askren came in low for a takedown, just like everyone expected. What no one expected was Masvidal launching himself like a missile into Askren's chin. The result? Askren was out cold before he even hit the canvas. The thud echoed through the arena, and Masvidal added insult to injury with a couple of post-KO hammer fists and a celebration that mocked Askren's trash talk. It was savage, calculated, and viral within seconds. Second, head kick heard around the world, Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey. Holly Holm's knockout of Ronda Rousey wasn't just shocking, it was brutal and career-defining. Rousey entered the octagon as the undefeated queen of the UFC, the face of women's MMA, but Holm had the perfect game plan and laser focus. After dominating the first round with pinpoint striking, Holm landed a flush left head kick in the second round that sent Rousey spinning and crashing to the mat. One follow-up punch sealed the deal. It wasn't just a KO, it was a dethroning. 3. The heavyweight mauler, Francis Ngannou versus Alistair Overeem. Francis Ngannou doesn't throw punches, he launches bricks. And when he connected with Alistair Overeem's chin in 2017, time stood still. Overeem was lifted off his feet by a thunderous uppercut that looked like it belonged in a Marvel movie. The punch folded Overeem like origami and left him unconscious before he hit the mat. It's still one of the most replayed knockouts in UFC history. Pure power, pure violence. 4. Flatline from nowhere, Edson Barboza versus Terry Etim. Some knockouts are shocking because of how unexpected they are, and Edson Barboza's spinning wheel kick KO of Terry Etim belongs in a museum. Etim stepped forward, Barboza spun, kicked, and dropped him like a puppet cut from its strings. Etim's body went stiff mid-air, eyes wide open, arms frozen in the air. No follow-up needed, just one clean, artistic shot that instantly went viral. 5. Lights out left hook, Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping, UFC 100. Dan Henderson's right hand is legendary, but it was the context that made this knockout against Michael Bisping so savage. After weeks of trash talk, Henderson silenced Bisping with a picture-perfect right hand in the second round that sent the Brit spiraling to the mat. Then came the infamous H-bomb, Henderson's leaping follow-up punch to a man who was already unconscious. Cold, ruthless, unforgettable. 6. Instant karma, Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. Sean O'Malley made a statement in his fight against Thomas Almeida, but it was how he finished the fight that had fans buzzing. After dropping Almeida with a vicious left, O'Malley walked away thinking the ref would stop it. When the fight continued, Sugar came back and delivered a highlight reel walk-off KO, another left, this time with full venom. Almeida hit the canvas, eyes staring at the ceiling. That moment became a staple in O'Malley's sizzle reel. 7. Flash KO, Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. 13 seconds. That's all it took for Conor McGregor to shut the lights off on a man who hadn't lost in over a decade. Aldo rushed in with a looping right hand. McGregor read it like a book, countered with a crisp left hook, and Aldo crumpled face first into the canvas. No follow-ups necessary. McGregor had called it days in advance. The entire MMA community stood stunned. Brash prediction, surgical execution. 8. The silent sniper, Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Ai. Precision met savagery when Valentina Shevchenko landed one of the most brutal head kicks in women's MMA history. After softening Ai up with body kicks, Shevchenko fainted low and then blasted a left shin across Ai's skull. Ai stiffened mid-fall and crashed to the ground. The sound of the kick was enough to make your stomach churn. It was the kind of KO that ends careers, or at least haunts highlight reels forever. 9. The buzzer beater, Yair Rodriguez versus the Korean Zombie. Yair Rodriguez's elbow knockout of Chan Sung-jung with literally 1 second left in the final round might be the most creative KO ever seen in the octagon. The Korean Zombie was winning on all scorecards and pressing forward. Yair ducked and flicked a no-look reverse elbow that landed square on the chin. Jung collapsed like a building. Crowd exploded. Nobody could believe it. A knockout from another dimension. El Cucuy's carnage, Tony Ferguson versus Donald Cerrone. While it didn't end in a classic KO, the pure violence of this fight and what Ferguson did to Cerrone's face earns it a savage spot. Ferguson turned Cerrone's face into a crimson mess by the second round. With elbows slicing through like razors and pressure that never relented, Tony beat Cerrone so badly that the doctor had to call it. Cerrone's eye was swollen shut, and blood was pouring from every angle. It wasn't pretty, it was primal. 11th career ender, Rashad Evans versus Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell was one of the baddest men to ever step in the octagon, but Rashad Evans changed the narrative with one punch. In a matchup of legends, Evans ducked a jab and uncorked a looping right that landed on Liddell's jaw with sickening impact. Liddell went down stiff, twitching. The image of his lifeless fall was a sobering end to a legend's era, and proof that one punch can flip a legacy. 12th uppercut apocalypse, Derek Lewis versus Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades shot in for a takedown. Derek Lewis, known as the Black Beast, had other plans. He timed a monstrous uppercut that detonated on Blades' chin and left him motionless before his knees even buckled. Lewis followed up with hammer fists that were as brutal as they were unnecessary. It was one of those knockouts that reminded everyone why you don't shoot on Lewis recklessly. 20 minutes of absolute carnage, and every second more brutal than the last. These knockouts weren't just finishes, they were statements. Moments frozen in time where warriors met fate head-on. If your jaw's still on the floor, hit like, subscribe, and tell us which knockout shook you the most. Fight fans, out.